you are someone that is chronically angry, and it's the emotion that comes out when it's not necessarily appropriate for the situation, your instinct, because it's a natural instinct to go into in our emotions when something's happening, is to fight, because that's what you were brought up to believe that you had to do in order to survive and protect yourself. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy. Before we get into today's video, I just want to apologize for the lighting. My toddler is like the most helpful, beautiful angel of a toddler, and they're so helpful, and it's my fault, but I didn't realize that they had accidentally threw my battery for my light into the laundry basket, which I then dumped into the laundry, and it got wet, and it was just a big catastrophe. 100% my fault. I should have checked because I heard a loud thump and I just ignored it. So I do not have good lighting right now. Have to order a new battery for my light. But anyways, let's get into today's video. So if you are someone that experiences a lot of anger, you notice that you go into an anger attack, or you're experiencing something that usually causes a different emotion like sadness or anxiety or something like that, but anger comes out, this video is for you. We're gonna dive into why we have anger and why anger comes out instead of the general emotion we usually feel for a certain situation. By the end of this video, you're gonna learn some tools to help you so that way you don't feel so angry all the time. I am someone where, believe it or not, my first emotion when I'm feeling any type of negative or uncomfortable emotion is for anger, or I feel anger instead of the appropriate emotion for the situation. So I completely relate and understand what you are experiencing. So let's talk about it. So anger, and why you may experience anger, is for a couple different reasons. One, it comes down to childhood. If you were shown anger by like your parental figures, or you were shamed for having emotions, because overly expressing anger is something that is taught, and if you are ashamed to feel emotion, that also causes you to suppress your emotions, which then it comes out in other ways like addiction, anxiety, depression, or anger. Anger can come out when there's a fear of being vulnerable, because other emotions like fear or sadness, you know, those are very vulnerable things. You're in a vulnerable position. You're out of control when you feel those. But anger, you're more in control. It's a fight response. So you feel like you can fight a situation. You're able to feel like you're the one who's going to take control of it, rather than when you're in fear or when you're sad, you're out of control. It feels like something's happening to you. Another reason why you may be feeling anger is because of your perceptions of life. You may feel like life is unfair, or you are very hurt by things and it's disguised as anger. You know, like I had mentioned, if you were taught to shame your emotions, or you feel like your other emotions are too vulnerable, then anger will come out instead. Anger can be a secondary emotion. So the real deep-rooted emotion's not coming out, the anger is coming out, because like I had mentioned, you feel more in control when you're angry. Because think about it, when you're angry, it feels more relieving, because you're like, you know, you can do something about it. You feel like you can fight it, versus you can fight the situation that's happening that's hurting you, versus when you're sad, you're like, oh, I hate this part. I hate feeling sad. Like I'd prefer to be angry than sad. So it can be a secondary emotion, or anger comes out because our emotions come out for a reason. We have emotions for a reason. Anger also, the purpose is because we feel like we were treated unfairly or we were disrespected, and it's a way for us to fight and be like, hey, I don't tolerate this. This is not okay. You know, I'm gonna do something about this bad behavior that's happening. So when you're in a stress response, which generally our negative emotions that come out, it's because we're in some type of stressful event happens, we're in some type of stress response. Sadness is more freeze, anger is fight. So if you are someone that is chronically angry, and it's the emotion that comes out when it's not necessarily appropriate for the situation, your instinct, because it's a natural instinct to go into in our emotions when something's happening, is to fight. Because that's what you were brought up to believe that you had to do in order to survive and protect yourself and be okay. Think about your childhood. How did you respond to stressful events with your parents or your siblings or at school, whatever it was? you may notice that you went into a fight response, or you had to go into a fight response to protect yourself from whatever was coming your way. So let's dive deeper into why you may be experiencing anger. So you may have unresolved emotional pain. So you may have felt rejected, you may have been hurt by somebody, you may have been hurt by your parents. It can be a defense mechanism to protect you from anyone else hurting you any further. So you may be angry and you may get triggered by things that are similar to that, or you may be just triggered on day-to-day small things because your anger is slowly being released because you're not attending to the wound that has been caused. You want to protect yourself from feeling vulnerable again. So that's why the anger will come up, to protect you. Another thing is unmet needs. You may be feeling disrespected, unheard, undervalued. Again, it's another way to protect yourself from getting hurt by others. And because your needs are not being attended to, the anger is coming out instead to be like, okay, if you're not going to meet my needs, then stay the hell away. Another thing is you may be stressed and overwhelmed. When you're constantly under pressure, it's your body's way of releasing the stress and being like, hey, I'm under too much pressure, I need to release this pressure. So you may be juggling too much things like work, family, house responsibilities. You're doing too many things at once, and the pressure is slowly being released and you're just lashing out. And then on top of the other things like we talked about, which is unprocessed traumas, you have suppressed your emotions, or even like you have physical things that are going on, like you're sleeping less or you're not eating healthy. Those things can also cause you to be chronically angry because your body is not getting what it needs to sustain a level where you don't think so negatively, or negative thoughts don't pop up, or you can sustain it and deal with the daily stressors. Every single person's different and everyone has different needs, and if you don't attend to your needs, you may just become chronically angry and lash out as a way to protect yourself and your energy, because you have such low energy to begin with. So the first things first is there's dealing with the underlying root of your anger, and then dealing with the slow release of the anger. So let's talk about first, like, to deal with like the actual anger before you get to the root. Like when you're feeling angry, the first thing is to tackle it before you explode. So recognize when you feel that anger. Where is it in your body? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your chest? Is it in your fist? Do you feel like adrenaline all over? Get familiar with the feeling of anger and be like, okay, I'm feeling angry, and identify it. Identify immediately, okay, this is what anger feels like. I'm feeling angry. You now need to release that anger before anything else. So if you're in a moment where you're feeling like a little bit low of amount of anger, like, take a deep breath and you probably can deal with it later. But if you're feeling like an immense amount of anger where you're very triggered, you will have to step away in that moment and go release that energy. So if like you're in a very heated moment, be like, listen, like, let's come back to this. I'm not in a mental state to have this conversation, whatever it is. And go somewhere where you can release anger. How you choose to release anger is up to you. Everybody works differently. You may need to jot down with a pen and like just release all the angry feelings, and you may need to stab the journal. I know that sounds like crazy, but it can really help to just get that energy out, because anger is a lot of adrenaline and cortisol running through your body, and you need to release it. So just do things like that. Maybe you need to punch a pillow, punch something soft, not hard. You may need to yell, like figure out your way. Maybe you want to paint, figure out a way to release your anger. If you notice, I didn't say venting. Why? Studies show venting just keeps you in the place of anger, and it refuels that stress response, because when you're telling a story or you're remembering it, it causes you to be back in that moment, and you're just getting angrier and angrier, and that's when overthinking happens, or that's when you start to play these stories in your mind and you get really angry. So, or you start to build up the story and then you explode. So you want to keep the venting to a minimum. If you need to share with like one person, but don't continue to go on and share to lots of people. Keep it to releasing the emotion physically, because that's what it is. It's a physical sense in your body. Then once you feel like you've released it somewhat, that's when it's really important to now calm your body and allow the parasympathetic nervous system to take place. The parasympathetic nervous system is the one that's next to your nervous system, which is the rest and digest. That's the one that calms you down. That's what you feel like after. It's like it releases the good hormones to help you to like de-stress and like, okay, you're safe now, you're calm. And like how you do that, how you activate that is like by shaking a little bit. Even laughing can help activate it, because you can't laugh if you're stressed. Meditate, take deep breaths, tell your body like, I'm safe, I released it, I'm okay. Take time out to recuperate and to calm down, to see like, okay, like the anger's out, the anger's released. So this is what will help you in the moments when you're feeling that anger, so that way you don't have a big response and you don't like yell at people, or it just causes you to be in those consequences that you find yourself in when you express the anger and you then regret it. And I'll post right here my first video I ever did about anger, which I go more in depth about anger. So this is when the immediate anger happens. Now what you need to do on your own time is you need to address the deep-rooted issue of why you experience anger. Is it a trauma response? Is it that you feel like you're being treated unfairly? Is it that it's a learned behavior? Like, what is the core issue of your anger and why you feel anger? Are you afraid to be vulnerable, so then anger comes out instead? And you can come up with a plan of what you need to do. And if you are struggling with a plan, you can reach out to me for my coaching services, which I can help you. And we can kind of dive into the root of your anger and what you need to do to heal your anger. Maybe it's that you need to maybe it's that you need to do things differently in your life. Maybe you need to set boundaries. Maybe you need to address someone. You got to figure out what the core root issue is. So that way, once you deal with the core root, you'll notice some of that anger will melt away. Like my angry clients, they've come to me like, wow, like I never thought I'd stop being angry. So what do you guys think? Leave it on the comments below. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys. What's an angry face? Oh, no, I look like I belong in Naruto. Okay, what's like an angry face? Oh my god. I'm gonna literally poop my pants. Punch something soft or hard. What? No, god, I finished. I didn't know if I was gonna finish. Today's just a hectic day.